So what we'll do in this course is essentially robotics. It's called automation robotics, but essentially robotics. Uh, what I'll do today is I'll go through some of the details of the course, and uh, and then I'll get started into programming. And what we'll be covering will be hopefully clear in today's lecture. So my name is Pranav Bonsul. You can just call me by my first name. Uh, I'm here. I've been here for like 4 years now. Um and I'm a assistant professor in mechanical, part of the mechanical industrial engineering over there. So just move this slide. Let me close this. Hey, so I don't know why you took this class. Maybe this was the only course, very few of the courses if you have in the electives. But if you're thinking of a career in robotics, then earlier, 10, 15 years back, there were very few options. In fact, the only options were probably in manufacturing, automobile, aerospace engineering, and of course in research labs. But since then, we've had a lot more companies getting into robotics, and so there are many more jobs now than there were before. There are lots of startups. There's some risk in startups. Very few startups are actually successful. But then the big players in this market as Google, Amazon, Apple, SpaceX, these people hire. And we've had a student in my lab who actually joined, I think it was SpaceX. He was initially hired as an intern, then he became I believe he's a full-time employee now. And of course, education. There's a big need for educators in this field because STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math is as a very few. It looks like there are too many in this school, right? But then there are very few people who actually opt for STEM careers, STEM education areas as a need for educators. Okay, so I'm the instructor. The TA is Manthan. He's actually sitting behind. He'll be basically being grading him. He's only been working for 10 hours for this course. So if you have any questions about the course, you should ask me and not him. Okay, so there's a textbook for the course. Now the textbooks for if you've taken classes at UIC and others, I don't like the fact that instructors prescribe books which are $100+. So in the past, when I taught this course, there was no textbook. I gave notes. But this time around, there's a textbook. It's basically was developed as an open source book from a grant from National Science Foundation. This book is in the work in progress. So it's not glossy, it's not fancy, but you can access the book using that link. This, by the way, is all in the syllabus. If you go to that link, you should see a Google Doc. We just go to that. Yes, so there are like 4 chapters. Now, not all of these will be covered clearly, but what you can do is, and this will be of great help, is if you could, when you read this book, if at all you read the book, then you can actually leave comments. So now I'm not signed into Google, so I cannot leave a comment. But if you sign into Google, you can actually leave comments in the book. So if you find errors, typos, you think something is not worded properly, some figure is stretched, please leave comments. It really help the people who wrote the book. I did not write the book. It's somebody in Clemson University, but basically they got the grant to write the book. And I think that developing open source courseware as well as software is kind of beneficial because then you don't have to pay for this, right? So it'd be great help if you can leave comments and suggestions. We have Blackboard, so people who are new to UIC, we use Blackboard for things like syllabus announcements. So everything will be on Blackboard, so you should go to Blackboard. The way you go to Blackboard is you can just Google search UIC Blackboard or go to, I think it's uic.blackboard.edu, and then use your net ID to log in, and then it'll be taken to the courses which you are signed up for, and then you can access course material. This is taken from the syllabus. Says 210 is a requirement. I don't really assume you know 210 or remember 210. There's linear algebra and all those things, but I, again, don't assume that I teach that to you. I'll be using Python. Now, I've used MATLAB before, and that was 2 years back. but then MATLAB then was free. There was COVID, and so university basically gave MATLAB to everybody for free. Now, if you want MATLAB now, you have to pay $99. I don't want you to pay $99, so we just moved to Python. Python is free, and one of the benefits of Python is if you may not be interested in robotics, but when you get a job, you'll see that people, a lot of industries, companies use Python. So the language itself, Python, will be useful to you beyond this course. So that was one of the reasons of by choosing Python versus some other paid software. We meet Monday, Wednesday, Friday, in person, then here. Now, what I've done in this course and throughout at UIC is that I just don't want to burden you to come to class. Attendance is not taken in the class, so you don't have to come. If you want, you can be present virtually. I think there's one person who is attending virtually. Maybe there are more people have logged into Zoom, but you can attend the course virtually. I run this course in person. I also learn it virtually. And then if you miss both of those, you can download the notes on Blackboard. You can also watch the video because I'll be recording this and posting on YouTube, okay, for you to use. So you're absolutely free if you don't want to attend. I understand that people have busy lives and some of you are graduating, looking for jobs. It's absolutely fine if you don't want to attend in person or will miss the Zoom class, but it's up to you to attend or not attend. Just remember that the passcode, sometimes it asks for the passcode, so please remember that. Everything here, what I'm saying here is on the syllabus. I'll be posting this video, so you don't need to take notes. If you are attending virtually, I just tell you to be mindful that you are on camera, and then I'll be recording things, so you don't want your something to show up on YouTube and last forever, right? So just be mindful of that. Other than that, it's absolutely fine if you want to ask questions. But I think I'll crop off some parts of the video. So, but sometimes I may miss things. But I've seen in the past, it's not usually a problem. Just I want you to be mindful of that. Grading is in the following way. We have homework problems, and you'll see that you'll have a lot of homework in this course. The course will be heavy in the beginning, in the sense you'll have homeworks every week, but you'll see that as you reach the end of the semester, it'll get easier. So you'll then be able to focus on other things in your life, right? Other courses and so on. So what I've done is there'll be some calculations which go on paper, go on Gradescope. Gradescope is a utility for grading. It's available by Blackboard. I've not set it up yet because I'm trying to do something on Blackboard to merge the course. But once it's available, you'll be able to submit your homeworks on Gradescope. Your handwritten calculations, if you write on tablet, that's fine too. If you're writing by hand, then there's this nice app called Cam Scanner, which can be used to scan homework. It's paid, but you could use the free version of it. Just puts a logo, but that's okay. I have a programming part where we'll be grading you on programming. So every homework, roughly, you'll see that there'll be 10 points for the Gradescope part and 10 points for the programming part. And that's, I think, is important because one of the skills I teach you in this course is actually programming. The hand calculations is more like the subject matter, but the programming part is very important. I want you to learn that well so that you can use that in future after you graduate. That's actually an error. There's no midterm and final. It's actually 2 exams. I don't want to have a final because I just don't want you to be worried about this course towards the end. So there'll be 2 exams spread in the semester. I'll tell you when they are. They'll be doing class hours. And that's probably the only time you need to be here in person because there's no take-home exam. Okay, so remember that. It's not midterm final, but there are 2 exams spread in the semester. This is going to be project heavy. Really, I'll have maybe 5 or 6 projects spread through the semesters, and you're supposed to work on them. Something which I forgot to say was that you can work in groups of 2 for the homework as well as the projects. Okay, but you cannot work in groups for the exams. Clearly, you need to do that in person. Unless you do the homeworks well, you cannot do well in the exams. So be mindful of that. And 20% credits is the difference between an A and B grade is basically those 20%. So you better be working by yourself in homeworks. Don't let your partner just do all the homework. Be mindful of that. Work hard on the homework, and you should be fine in the exams. And we'll talk about the computing projects as we go in the semester, but they'll be something you do either in Python or the simulator, which I'll be talking about, Coppelia Sim. and there'll be bonus points. For example, I think I've mentioned the syllabus. If you find errors, substantial errors in the textbook, there'll be bonus point. And that's really case by case because it's really difficult to make a rubric for that. Other than that, there'll be bonus points for homework. So if you are not able to do a homework, you'll probably make up for that in the bonus points. But don't bank on them. Okay? It's not like there'll be too many of those. We'll be using Python. Python has multiple IDEs. IDE is a interactive development environment. The nice thing about an IDE is that it lets you program and then run your code and see it. It's more like think of a MATLAB interface. I think MATLAB is something people are familiar with. If you have something like this, I like the fact that you can test things out in the console, but you can also write scripts and then run the script and see what the output is. And that's what I think, that's the kind of setup I like. And Spider is one of the free IDEs which will give you that. There are other options too, like one of my students told me Sublime Text is nice editor, but I think it requires you to buy it eventually. You can run the evaluation version, but it just tells you that message that you need to buy. So if you don't like that, then you might want to use Spider. I've used Atom before. The Atom is still available. It's not under active development. You can choose, PyCharm is another one. You can choose any one you like. Coppelia Sim is a physics simulator. It is a free simulator, and that's the one which we'll be using in this course. Okay, so more details about the homework. Individuals or groups of 2. It's due on Sunday. I think all these things are clear, and you'll come to, there'll be instructions in the homework saying how to submit each question and so on. Some questions through Gradescope, some questions through email, some questions through homework through Gradescope as well as email, depending on the programming part, because Gradescope cannot evaluate your code. There are 2 exams, not midterm final, but spread in the semester. There are no makeups. There are individual. They're closed book, so you cannot open your notes, but I would allow you 1 page in which you can write whatever you want. Of course, no mobile cell phones. People ask me all the time, what sort of calculator should I use? By the way, you cannot use a mobile phone during the exam as a calculator. You need to get an actual calculator. If you have a calculator, go for it, use a calculator. But if you don't have a calculator and you want to buy one, then what I would recommend is there's an exam called FE exam, Fundamentals of Engineering exam, and they actually require, there are some set of calculators used for FE exams. If you want, you can buy one of those. It'll be useful for you when you actually, if you end up taking the FE exam. And those, all of them are like $5 or $10, not very expensive. But please don't buy a calculator for the FE exam. If you have one, use that. If not, that's a good place to look for a calculator. As I said, the bonus in the class is to be announced in the class. But one thing you can directly do is start putting comments in the textbook, and I'll give you bonus based on that. But it just depends. It's very subjective how I'm going to do that. But the other things will be pretty objective. Like you do this, you'll get so many points. Like course evaluation is one of them, which I give bonus points. We'll do office hours through Zoom. That's the link you want to remember. It's also on the syllabus, by the way. I'll have it from Monday, Wednesday, 11 to 12:30. If I see that it doesn't work for many people, I might change it, but I'll announce that in case that doesn't work for everybody. You can email me on that email, my first name @uic.edu, and just give me 24 hours at least to respond. I'm usually pretty fast with email response. Okay, this is the interesting part of the course. How many of you read the course description before you signed up? Okay, so if you read the course description and you signed up because of the course description, I'm very sorry, I'm not going to cover a lot of things in the course. The reason is that this course was written, I think, in 1992. Maybe many of you are not even born in 1992. It's a big hassle at UIC to change anything, especially course description. So I just don't bother with this. Instead of that, I just teach whatever I want. Now, those things which are there were probably very important things in 1992 or 1995, but they no longer are important. Okay, so things which I'm going to do are off the syllabus are those things in red. But then this is really what we'll be doing. We'll be doing manipulators, differential drive cars, a little bit of legged robots, quadcopter, a lot of Python. Coppelia Sim also uses Python, so it's good that you're learning one language using it for 2 environments, and then optimization, control, and planning. Okay, so it's more aim towards numerical implementation. And one thing which I think distinguishes robotics from other fields is you can make, besides plots, which other fields make, you can also make pretty animations. One way to debug things is to make an animation and see how things fail. And that's much, much useful than, I don't know, in fluids, thinking of wave. There's visualization tools also, but this is, everything we do is going to have a pretty much a visualization. In fact, I'll teach you how to do visualizations in Python. Okay, Coppelia Sim is the simulator we'll be using. If you go to Coppelia Sim, you'll see that if you go to the videos, in fact, you'll see that the developers have made cool videos